Well folks, welcome back to the workshop. Today we've got a big box of broken tools in for repair, all needing to be fixed up. So today we're going to have a repair-a-thon video. By the looks of it, it's just going to be a grinder repair-a-thon video. These have actually been sent in from a large fishing boat and they're needing as many of them fixed up as possible. They need these back for next week basically because they've maintenance to do on the boat. So imagine that you're going to be cleaning the hull or stripping it down to repaint it or something. They're going to need a lot of grinders though. So they sent all these here and for repair. I need to fix up as many as possible and get them back to them next week. They need 10 grinders altogether. So any of these here we can't fix. We'll just actually be giving them a new machine instead. They're going to need 10 grinders for all the boys doing the work. And by the looks of it, it's going to be quite a bit of work if they need that many grinders. Nice mixed bag of stuff on here. We've got Bosch, Makita and Hitachi, and we have old and new. So like some new Bosch and old Bosch and then old Makita there as well. And of course Hitachi. So these have probably been gathered up for the last year or so. Like I say, this is a large boat, so they would go through quite a few grinders. They'll be using them all the time. When one breaks or lets them down, they just put it to one side and take out a fresh one. Let them build up for so long and then leave them all in like this here in one lot. So whenever they have a big job on, they just get them all fixed. Even if there's not a big job, they might just get them all fixed anyway. It has a spares to take them out whenever another one lets them down. So that's generally the way they work it. That's why there's so many different varieties and different ages. They've probably had these for quite a while. The job they're going to be doing, I would say, is going to be stripping down anyway, because I see a lot of fibre discs on here. I'd say that's what they're probably going to be using. These here are backing pads and discs. So this goes on to the grinder. And it has a separate countersunk nut. So this goes on the grinder and this holds down a fibre disc. Basically a sanding disc, but it's a solid disc. These are called fibre discs. Use them a lot of time for like sanding wooden floors, getting them tight along the edge of the skirting board. You get bigger 7-inch ones as well for the likes of an edge sander, dedicated machine, but you get them for grinders too. Great for taking off a lot of material very fast. They're very tough and very hard wearing, and you get them very coarse as well. I think you get them all the way down to like a T or a P24 grit, wild coarse, and then you get them finer as well. But they're wild good for this here sort of stuff, especially on the likes of a boat, because they're tough, they're cheap, they're hard wearing. You get to do a lot of material off it very quick. When they're on a grinder, they're taking a lot of material off very fast. But they've several of these on here, so they must be doing some sort of stripping down. And then they also have wire wheels on them as well. Right, to see how many of these here we can get fixed up, and then anything we can't fix, we'll have to get a new grinder for them to replace it with. And we'll just start any old place because it doesn't really make much odds. Start at the top and work our way down, and we'll start off with this Hitachi one. See how we get on. So we Hitachi, not even a cookie, and actually older Hitachi G12 STX 2017. These here, whenever they first came out, I started getting them onto the shop for repair. I've assumed they weren't that great a machine. You buy them dirt cheap. They were wild cheap to buy. I think you could buy this and a 9-inch grinder for less than €150. Wild cheap. But that doesn't mean they were wild bad. They could be fixed, but because they're so cheap, whenever they needed fixed, the spare parts were quite expensive. That made the repair quite expensive. A lot of the time they just weren't worth fixing because you can buy them for so cheap. They were good machines and they were cheap to buy, but they just weren't all that cheap to actually fix. They were kind of expensive to fix if you compared to the price of a new one. But definitely a good machine. You'd be surprised how long these things actually run for, and the amount of abuse they can actually take. First thing is make sure the head doesn't come loose on them anyway. Wonder what's wrong with it. Can't just need a backing pad, does it? First one's jammed. Needs a backing pad to use it anyway. That can't be what it's on for. Leads and brushes is the main thing with these. See, this is just a set of brushes actually. Brushes aren't gone. They might be just stuck. See, they're all dirty, look. Grit and corrosion has just got into them. There's bits of rust from grinding down. Sometimes they can just become stuff. If they don't move down in the holder, the machine just stops. And when you're getting from a crowd that just takes out a new one, if there's any problems, they don't waste time. It can be something as simple as this. So by using this, if it just stops working, I'll just leave it on the repair pile and just go for the new one. You don't get any notes on it. But this is a fairly common one with grinders especially. Just dirty brushes. Quick clean, free out the holder. Anything jamming it up is freed out. The brush can move the whole way down then, keep making contact with the armature. This could have just been intermittent or starting and stopping or farting on them. They're low in power. It'll all just be down to this. I think it looks okay. I'll give it a quick blow of the compressor just to clean it out and stick her back together. Luckily there's not too many of these on it. Like I say, a lot of the time they're just not worth fixing. Leads, brushes and weak cleans is basically all you're really doing with them. Sometimes they're not even worth putting bearings on. Just make sure everything else is working. Switch is going on and locking on. Nothing else sounds bad. And just make sure she's locking as well. The only other thing, it's a backing flange. Does it need one fitted? Obviously not. It actually doesn't reach. Yeah, can do without the backing flange. So in other words, that one there's fine. That'll do the way she is. That's number one, ready to go. Now we'll go on to a slightly older Bosch. This is one of the older, cheaper ones. They're actually very good. These were the GWS 660s. You don't get these ones anymore. Bosch have changed the designs and models over the year, and they normally had a price range. This is one of the cheaper ones in the blue version. These are fantastic wee machines here. It's 660. We would have sold lots of these here in the hardware shop I work for. 2015 machine, so 10 years old. Let's see what this one's doing. Still the original lead too. Always lift them up as you plug them in, because you never know if the switch is actually failed in the on position, especially when your disc is still on. Plug them in, whenever it's sitting like that, I think it just run across the bench towards you. Right, I hope this is not just a check over job and all of these are working. I just wanted them checked before I start taking them out. Osborne Easy Grind. Never seen one like that before. Is that stuck on? Can't be stuck on. Can make it pointless. It does look to be just stuck to the actual disc. It is, yeah. actual base is threaded. It's a one-piece fibre disc or grinding disc, basically like an SMT, just not segmented. Right, that's a way to make more money. Instead of having a backing pad and a nut, it's just glued on. The backing pad just screws onto the disc. I suppose only a piece of plastic, easier to change. I'll check this out here. You tell it's older, an older Bosch because it has a Phillips head screw, not a torque. A lot of dust falling out of it now. This one's not even that dirty or worn on the brushes, so there's nothing really wrong with this. Another thing to check is sometimes the springs, especially if it's coming up from the likes of a fishing boat, salt water, can sometimes corrode the springs, then one becomes weaker than the other, and it starts causing sparks and the motor to run badly then. That sounds okay. And she locks. I just don't know how this video is going to turn out. Could just be they sent everything in just to get checked over before they start using it. I hope not. Or they're just general stuff. It's just workers using the grinders. If they have any problems, sometimes they just say they're not working and throw them in the box. We just have to continue on and see which way it is. This is just a bit boring, this one. Nothing wrong. Quick clean, check it over, get it back out. That looks okay. Everything else seems alright. There's not even any dirt on them brushes. Right, blow this one down. You know what they say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. This one ain't broken anyway. But you can tell these things do a lot of grinding. You can tell it's off a fishing boat. Something beside salt water. That's not iron oxide paint, that's just iron oxide. Rust. These things be grinding off an awful lot of rust, as you would imagine on a boat. These aren't going to be as good for aid sanding on floorboards anyway. I want to get on tight with timber. A wee bit too much of a slope. The other ones have more of a flat base. Better for a flatter finish. These are better for just grinding. Nothing wrong with number 2. Move on. Number 3. Let's go with a newer Bosch this time. Which one's this? GWS 880. It's an 800 watt. Yeah, 880 watt motor. 2020 machine. 5 years old. It's not all that new. Never seen one of these before. Or cheaper one now, instead of the 660 is actually the GWS 750. So this is the GWS 880. Just a bit bigger than their cheaper one. Most brands, especially like Makita and Bosch, would have different sizes of grinders for different jobs. So you actually just don't get a basic, medium and heavy duty one, you get a full range. So this is just a different one, or maybe it comes from a different area. Don't know where they could have picked it up. It's basically the same as the 750 anyway. Looks like the same head and button. Switch it on here and see. Sounds like something might be rubbing. I don't think there's a problem, but I'm just going to open it anyway. Just sounds just a little bit off, that one. Maybe it's just rust from the spindle, I don't know. I'll check it out and see. I'll give it a clean out anyway. Everything's moving anyway. They're a little bit stiff, mind you. I'll clean them out. I wonder if any of these are actually broken at all. Actually pull the brushes out too. Doesn't help to just take the spring off. Right, that should be alright. Put that back on, and I'm going to blow this out. A little bit of dust up on here. I don't want it to bind up and melt the plastic fan in that. Bearings are good, the rest of it seems good. Give it a quick wee blow down and put it back together again. Not even a set of brushes needed so far. Not much in the way of a repair-a-thon video then. More of a check and over video. Handy if I had any information on these at all. Nothing wrong with that, but it just doesn't sound great. Doesn't sound so bad that there's a problem, but there's nothing wrong with it anyway. Bleed's good, brushes are good, it's running, doing everything it's meant to do. This number 3, checked over. Now, I'll go for one of the older ones this time. Hopefully, it'll be one that actually needs repaired. This is a very old Makita. This one here is the 9501B. That's a very old one for this crowd. I wonder how they still have this going. This is an old 4-inch grinder with an even smaller spindle. Look at how tiny threads is on that. So he has the nut. He doesn't have the backing flange actually. Some of the other ones didn't have nuts or backing flanges either, so I don't know if it needs that or not. first things first, switch it on, see what it does. Sounds a little bit stiff, might need bearings anyway. Yeah, a wee bit stiff. We'll change the bearings in it, or at least see what bearings are gone. So I was saying about sticking brushes, look. That one is actually corroded, got stuck in there. This is just back into the switch area and the lead. We need to go to that end. We'll just stick to this end if we can, because it might only just be bearings. Bearings and a wee clean. Wee rub down before I open it, just to stop anything dropping on. Not that it matters, might have to clean out this anyway. Surprisingly that sounds alright. It's rubbing there because it's not on this bottom bush down here, so it's not centered. Sounds alright. It is very stiff. Hoping it hasn't melted onto the housing. Still not. There we go. Yeah, you can tell that one came from a boat. This one up here is actually okay. It's only really this one that's gone. I don't want to do too much of this thing because I don't know how much he's going to use it. It's a very old and small grinder. I'll have to give that a wee bit of a clean out because it's a bit dirty in there. Like some of the modern ones, this bevel gear on top. And the modern ones are actually got a clipper nut holding them on. These ones here have nothing. It's actually the gear that holds it on because it's a bevel. But then there's a keyway in it. The keyway stops it rotating, and the bevel on the gears keep it pressed on. Don't think this bearing's gone, but I'm just going to change it anyway. Change these two bearings, clean this out. I'll just clean out the whole head because that grease is, well, it's gone a wee bit hard. Just check the sheets, and this has never actually been done before for repair. So this might be the first set of bearings getting changed. But I don't want to spend too much money on it because it's only a 4-inch grinder. I don't know how much use they're actually going to get out of this thing. I'm going to have to order on the bottom flange for it as well because I don't have one in stock, or at least I don't think so. So we'll get this armature off the head and we'll clean it all out. But because it's old, these here bearings, or the shafts, rust, and you generally can't get them off sometimes. This should just pull apart, but obviously it's not. And then you can't just knock out the armature because the aluminium's in the way, and if you hit the aluminium or anything like that, you can bust the head. So you have to sort of balance this on the vise with the fan able to pass through just into these two edges, and get something up here, tap the armature out. Hopefully it'll come loose. If not, you have to get a pair of long nose vice grips or something to get in here past the head and the fan, to clamp the screws and to slowly unscrew them to take off this plate. Then you can pull out the bearing as well, and then you can get the bearing off the shaft, but sometimes you can just tap them out. Center punch can sometimes work a little bit better because you can get into the tip of the shaft. Not so bad. That came out alright actually. Don't think it's gone, but we'll change it anyway. It's going to run this far. It's old, and I think it just deserves a wee clean up. I'm going to set that on now. Change that, wash this, and we'll change this one as well. Right, I'm just looking a bit cleaner, looking fresher anyway. Bearings for this thing, bottom one is a 627, top one is a 6000. Just stick this one on first because this has to go on before the armature goes on. It's held on by that plate. It's a bit tight actually. Get a bit of heat. The two big ones are for this. before we put the armature on, we just press this on. One new bearing, that's the main one. Should just push in. Clean that shaft a little bit so it should go on easier at least. That should be her. It should just go on its own. Should just slide in, but it will be stiff. Bear down on it, give it a wee wiggle and a shake. It should go on, or else give it a wee bang with the back of your hand. Do not be putting it into a bearing press or a vise and pressing it on like this here. You're just going to smash or break this aluminium head up here. This is not strong. You can't press on this at all. So it's by hand or no joy. Get your wee keyway in there and get your gear back on. Just make sure the keyway is going in, not just folding over. And that just sits there. Nothing holding it at all. Grease in that bronze bush. A good bit of grease around here. It's a big cavity. Way more grease goes into this thing than a modern grinder. Just going to squirt a bit under there too. I know, way too much, but it just gets hot and goes to the bottom, then doesn't get on the gear, so you have to put on enough. No, don't do that yet, otherwise you'll have to get the screws on again. The inside of here, cleaned up nicely too. Cleaned it in the parts washer, and then a wee bit of contact cleaner just to clean off the field, make sure there's no residue. And I also just popped off these two screws to actually blow off the switch in that as well, just in case any kerosene actually get into that too. But it turned out alright. One thing it didn't do was just give these a quick wee rub. Yeah, it goes on an awful lot easier. Want these ones on first. It's nice thick heavy grease, so it's not just going to pour out. Now we can stick this on. Also, the grinders or the guards missing this thing as well, but again, don't know if he already has that. Sometimes they just take them off before they send them on. He might have the guard on the screw, so don't want to order it if I don't know if he needs it, but I do think I'll order on a back nut or the back flange. He has the top one, but I don't know if this is missing or not, so I'll put one on a back order because I'm pretty sure I don't have one in stock. He's only local anyway, only down the road. If he needs it then he can come and pick it up. But this should get him up and running for now and have it running a lot smoother. These brushes as well, didn't change them, same as the last one, just filed them down. Wee bit of corrosion on them, but it's easy to remove just with a file. They're fairly fresh. You don't need to replace brushes unless you have to, or unless the spring is actually rusted, which this one isn't. The end's a wee bit corroded, but that doesn't matter. Clean the brush, Spring's good, you can reuse them, unless the brush is just worn out. That should be her. Old Makita, what was she again? 9501B with new bearings. That's it, just trying to get the grease moved around there, because a good bit of penalty here. I'll get it thrown around, thrown off to the sides, and then I hear the speed going up then. The main thing is you don't hear any popping noises coming from inside the gearbox. As she pops and clicks, that means the grease is cavitating inside. There's too much grease and it's building up too much pressure, and it's cavitating, causing the gears to wear. There's no popping, and it's just slow to start. Wait till she runs a few seconds, then it should be fine. That's her, ready for work. I don't know if they're going to use this one for the same job or not. Maybe the boy owns the boat just through the sun, just to get her looked at, I don't know. But she's good to go now anyway. I'll order on that back flange just in case he needs it, but he might not even need it. But it's always handy to have one in stock anyway. That's her, an old Makita. The bearings changed. Now, next up we'll go to another Bosch one, and this is a model I've seen plenty of times before. The one we're more familiar with here, GWS 750, is the basic one the shop stocks now. Decent enough wee machine, nice size. This man's clearly getting his juice out of the cup wheels anyway. Nothing left of this thing, look. Right, I'll actually just take that off before we switch it on, because we don't need it on. Clearly worn out. Obviously his paint he was taken off anyway. It's covered on it. Same as the other ones, running. Not good again, just check it over. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with this thing. It's barely even been used yet. What is she? 2021. It's the youngest one yet. Give it a quick blow of the compressor. We'll put her back together again. There should be nothing wrong with this. Bearings are good in it as well. Bit grubby, but otherwise good. I was assuming this box was just all the broken ones, but it's not. It must be just all their grinders. They just lifted the whole lot and sent them all down. Nothing wrong with that one. I'll just put that back on again. Not that it needs it, just to make sure this backing flange doesn't fall off. So, another one, nothing wrong with it. Right, what's this? I think it's number 6. I think this is the last of the newer looking ones, or at least fresher looking. Look at this one now, and I'll get on with hopefully the ones that need to be repaired. Again, no, same as the other one, GWS 880. And again with a wire wheel on it, this one hasn't been worn down as much. Maybe I stopped using this one because there's a problem. It's not a problem. That is tight. Just take it off in case any bits come flying out. Again, working. That sounds all right. It looks even better. Yeah, that's all right there. 2020, this one. The lock button's a wee bit awkward, but that's just because of the shape of it. It's spinning around and getting jammed on itself. Replacing that's not going to change anything. No, that's fine. That doesn't even need to be cleaned out or anything. Leave that, get on to the other ones. The others look to be in a wee bit worse of a condition. Number 6. A waste of time. Number 7 is the number 7. It's one of my favourites. The Bosch GWS 7/115. This one looks like it's done a little bit of work. It has an X on it. Maybe that means it's not working. It's had a lead change before, so maybe it's an old X. Right, something wrong with this one I know. Sounding a bit rough. Actually gears, look. Stripped out. Not even stripped out, they're actually just worn out. That's an odd one for the 715. Normally that only happens with the 9/115S. But easily fixable. Just have to do a bit of stripping to get everything out. You also need to clean, but there's still plenty of meat on the brush too. Just come out. Check that bearing. Keep the washer, get rid of the gear, also just give us a good clean down as well because it needs it. It's not gone, but it's just about to start to go, so I'll just change that. We'll just change that as well as soon as we're at it. Just a general tidy up this side. Because the gears are gone, I'll have to clean that grease out now too. Main thing is just change this crown gear. So, a little bit of washing, we'll get these gears off. Now, that's a little bit cleaner. Might just change this here lock pin as well, so that is starting to wear a lot. Replace that seeing as we are changing the gear anyway. Now we need a set of gears for this. On this particular model, the 7/115, there's several variations of this here. So they'll be all different type numbers. So as you can see, badge is gone. Can't see the type number. This is a wild handy one, a very popular one at a time, and they must have planned in advance for it. The badge is gone. You can still get your serial number and your type number, not just the model number on it. Can you see it there? Can't see squat. Get yourself a knife. Bottom side of the grinder. Now look, laser etched into it, 3601 C88171, and then the serial number actually below it. Wild handy. It's the only machine I've ever seen that on. Normally it's engraved in if they don't have it on the badge, but they either have a badge or engraved. This actually had both. A wee laser engraved serial number as well written on. A wee bit of dirt normally covers it up. If you just give it a wee scrape, there's your blade. Just causes it to show up again, nice and bright, just like that. Right, type that into the computer and see if we can get these gears, see if they're on stock. So I just put on GWS 7/115. There's all the different type numbers of this here model number. These are all 7115s, and these are all the different type numbers. These are either from GB, Great Britain. These are all from Great Britain, actually, GB. All 10 of them. But then there's all those also other countries. So that's not just 10, 20, 30, 40. So over nearly 100 different type numbers of this here particular model. That's why it's wild handy to have that little laser engraved type number written onto it. So I'll just look up the type number instead. What was it? 3601 C88171. That brings you up the exact one. Gears have to buy separately. Sometimes it comes a kit. This one's not. So we need the bevel gear here, PO2 825, and the crown gear, PO2 823. Eight two three, 825. We need to organise this box again. So I've just been throwing everything into it. And the pins for the 750. And 873 has the pin, the 7115 for this one. Right. Gears aren't all that expensive. This here is very cheap. This only costs like €2. So may as well just put it on. One crown. And one bevel. Right, I can get rid of that one. I'll just stick this on here for now, and also just get the bearings too. So a 608 and a 607. Rid of that. That's just a little washer off the top. And we'll just stick this on. As that pressed on, just rebuild this quickly now. We wash it first, and this air deflector. There's this new bearing, 608 on the top. A little rubber sleeve over the top of it. This just centers it on the holder. So this here wee plastic insert that actually holds the bearing and centers it. And then you have a wee metal washer over the top, this big wide one. With that on then, drop on your new gear and reattach your nut. Clamp the nut in the vise now, just give it a tweak by hand to tighten it up fully. And that's all you need. Wee sleeve on the bottom. That's the motor ready to go. I'll just get this end done. Just pop this off. Don't need to be gentle. You're replacing the whole thing anyway. Get rid of the spring, the handle and the pin. Just make sure this is clean. I'll reinstall this one. Such a cheap wee part if you can pick them up. That's somewhere from somebody that supplies them without having to pay carriage. This is dirt cheap to replace. See, the new one actually just has a straight edge. There's no chamfer. Just lock a lot better. Stick it in, spring on top, then your button in. Which way is she? That way there. Now to put it on, you just have to give her a tap. Get something to rest this pan against. Just put the pan on top of this. Hold it down. With this in the right position. Give her a wee tap. Just a hammer will do. And that's it. A new pan fitted. It's just easy to change. Now this here is the awkward bit. Press this off in the bearing press and press this one on. You will probably need a bearing press for this here. There's no easy way to get that off without one, unless you're actually going to cut it with a grinder. But you're not going to get that cut without damaging this here piece as well. So bearing press is just the best option. we go. Good quality NSK bearing inside. Nothing wrong with it. That's her. All ready to go. Now we can finish rebuilding it. You can rotate this round any which way you like, depending on what hand you are, or if you're doing an awkward job. Just stick the screws in whatever holes for the right orientation for yourself. I always forget which way they're going, so I put the head on first before adjusting that middle piece. Get the wee doors on. And this one takes nowhere near the same amount of grease as that old Makita one. Around about that much on the gearbox, and just a little on that crown gear as well. And that'll do the trick. Aye. That's her. Give her a wee test. See what she sounds like. Nice one. That's a good improvement. That's one Bosch GWS 7/115. New gears, new bearings, and a good clean. Ready for work again. Next we'll go with another oldie, another Bosch again. This one's going to need a lead anyway. The first one has actually had a broken lead lock. Right, where was I? By near the grease gun. It's leaking everywhere. Right, need a new lead nut. Don't know if it's actually broken, but the cable's broken, so I'll have to replace. Actually broken there too. Sounds geary, but they're not actually gone. Right, this is an older one again, but not as old as the other 660. So it was GWS 660, then GWS 6/115. And I think they took out a 7/115 then, and they've done away with this one and took out the 750. Not sure which way it is, but this was another one of their more basic models. Made in the PRC, People's Republic of China. No year on it. Right, that's sounding rough. That might be bearings as well. You can see the difference in gears in these ones. The size of them, you'll have a hard time eating them ones. So the gears are good. Let's say this has done a lot of work and must be the oldest one, but clearly not, because there's an older one again to look at. Oh, still need to take out the brushes too. And it'll also need a set of brushes. It's also the first one that needs them. All the rest are fine. They're not gone, but they're not far away. That's just dirt. Sticking that on. So that bearing's gone, and that one's probably not the best either. I'll just give this a full strip down too. Yeah, that is actually gone. Oh, we're just in time as well. That fan's starting to come loose. If that gets any worse, destroy the fan and then destroy the armature if it wears that out. So we'll get that glued on again nice and tight. But the super glue is all it really needs. A bit of packing stuff. Dirt just builds up on the fins here in the fan. Just clean that out. Just give that a good clean out as well. Bearing inside of this head's still good and the gears are still good. And this is all good apart from the brushes, so we'll change them and we'll just give this here head or body a good wash. Right, back to the parts washer. I'll also pull off that bearing too. It's actually in the right state there. Now, new bearings, new plug, because the other one was a moulded one, new grommet, and a new cable. I'll get this thing up and running and looking fresh again. Always use the wee grommet or the wee bitless ferrules. Just makes fitting these an awful lot easier. Any cable, an awful lot easier. It's an extra second to fit, but it saves you so much time fitting the cable. Now, this wee fine O-ring just goes onto here on this black bearing flange. Sometimes they come flying off just whenever you're blowing right in the compressor. Pop that on, leave that to one side. Now these older 6-stroke 1.5s didn't have the first little steel washer. Didn't use it. The rest is the same. Plastic sleeve and the bearing, and a little rubber insert, and the steel washer, and your gear. I suppose I may as well change that bearing too, seeing as that's what I was planning on doing. Just press that on. Stick that on there and then refit this on. Big thick gasket in this as well, or a shim. Less gasket, more shim. That's just to pack out adjust the two gears to make sure they're not too tight or too loose from each other, otherwise it'll wear too much. Normally there's wee skinny things. This one's quite thick, probably due to the size of the gear teeth in this. Another thing now is a set of brushes. Last thing, it's the plug. Now, that should be it. An old GWS 6/115 grinder with new bearings, brushes, lead, and a good clean. That actually tidied up, cleaned up very well. Head's not the best looking, but the body came up well. Would have finished that off nicely was a new label as well. You can actually buy these little labels from Bosch. They cost €1 or €2 each. Thought I might have had them here in the workshop because of a bunch of old stuff lying about, but sadly none of these labels. If I had them, I would have stuck them on just to use them up. Just finish that off right. Make sure she actually sounds right now. Nice one. Sounds a lot better. Shame they don't make these ones anymore. They're actually quite a good machine. And for the work these boys are going to be doing, it's probably one of the best ones for it. With the big heavy coarse gears on it. It'll be able to handle the grinding an awful lot better. That's that one, ready to go. Now, final one, number 10. I've kept the oldest, potentially the best of them, until last. I'm hoping now this doesn't blow up in my face and be the one that's not worth fixing. We'll have to see and find out. This is a really old Bosch blue professional grinder. I'm assuming it's blue anyway, it's hard to tell. The GWS 6100. This is like the old Makita one. This is a 4-inch old Bosch grinder. And 0601347064, made in Germany machine. Now, no year on it. Still turns. Looks fairly rough. Still has some of the little stickers on it as well, actually. Be interested to know how old this machine is. I would say late 80s, early 90s maybe. Question is, what's wrong with it and can it be fixed? And literally, hope it literally doesn't blow up my hand as well. Sometimes these older ones can just pop with a bang. It actually works. But that's not what you want. Not switching off. It sounds a little bit rough as well. So there could be bearings going here too. So crack into this and see if we can fix her up. Newer ones, like I was saying, there's torque head screws. You can tell the older ones because they're Phillips. These ones here, you can tell how old these are. These are all flats. Flat head screws. But we can still work with them, even on a drill. Harder to use the flats though in a drill, but not impossible. Still far faster now. Now, look at that for a switch. Why would that be impressive? It's impressive because that's the same one in the modern 9. They still use this here switch. It was a good switch back then and still good enough for the heavier duty ones. It's a nice redesign of a switch. Don't actually like them that much fitting them, but they're a good reliable switch. They give very little trouble. Now brushes, still plenty of meat on them, but again a little bit jammed up. Now don't want to pull on that because it's going to break the lead. Tiny little fine lead in this thing. They're very old brushes, but haven't done an awful lot of work, mind you. Let's get on there. Don't pull too hard because that brush isn't out yet. That's okay. Clears it anyway. Don't know if this is burning down in here or not. A wee bit of discoloration. Could be just the lacquer, mind you. Maybe just thicker there or something. The rest of the windings look fine. It's still nicely uniformed. And bearing's not gone, but it ain't great. Might be one of the things causing the noise. You can see they haven't changed the design much. Still basically the same. Bit of gunk in here. Just be careful that field, it ain't screwed on. It's just sitting there. And all the brushes and everything connect into that. Could just pop that out if we want, but it's not all that dirty. And here. Now I'd imagine I'll be changing the grease inside of this one too. And just like all of them, there's no backing flange or front nut. I'm assuming that's because we just took them off. A lot of places will just pull them off because when they go into the repair shop, it's not hard for them to go missing or just being forgotten to be put back in the machine. A lot of places will just pull them off. Or they might have other grinders, they just need them on. So I'll not go replacing them because I don't know if they need to. Could be just wasting money buying in special nuts and backing flanges for nothing. Very heavy shim on this one. Older grinder, just like the Makita, but this one still has the nut on it. It's only a 4-inch grinder, a 6-100. That's a number 6 one, makes you think it's a smaller one. But that there's the big switch off the big grinder. So maybe this isn't as small as I thought. It has the switch from the big grinder, maybe it's built the same as the big grinder. The 9s and the 915S I think have a C-clip holding this bearing on so they don't actually pull out. Just in case, we'll treat it as if it is. Yeah, it does actually. C-clip down in here. Bearing's not gone, but it's not great. It's a bit odd as an open bearing now. It's not unusual to get an open bearing in these, but normally they're only open on one side. This is open on both. A little wave wash on there too to keep it under tension. That's not a seal. Shouldn't be too tight. It's on a little rubber boot as well, so it can't be tight. Totally open bearing, but a good quality one because that's not actually gone. Made in Japan. Koyo, that's a good brand there. 608. Same as a standard one. So replace that and we'll put on a rubber seal one. That's probably why it was open there, look. Seals the whole way around, look. It's a rusky design, that has to be done right there. Otherwise the dirt that builds up in here can sometimes melt the fan, bind the whole thing up. I suppose because this here is aluminium and not a plastic part that it's meshing onto, it's less likely for it to happen. Plastic rubbing on plastic will create more heat and melt a lot easier. Plastic rubbing on aluminium, less so. Just clean it out of now. To make sure that the last grinder as well, I was saying the fan was loose. I realise now I've done it off camera when I was actually gluing it back together. All you do is actually just drop a wee bit of super glue onto the holes down here. It likes to become slack and you'll see it moving. Should have done it on camera, but I didn't. Just done it when I was over at the bench. Drop it all down here, let it sit, soak a wee bit down, and you do a wee bit of baking soda, or I have a bit of black powder here that actually pours in. You pour that on top and a little more super glue over the top of it, and then it seals up solid. Whenever super glue sets, it's like hard plastic, it's not going to come loose, and it'll hold the fan on permanently. Grease is a bit dry in that too, so good job actually cleaning it out. Surprisingly enough, that bearing's perfect as well. Right, we'll wash this thing out, clean the bench again, put on new bearings, free out this brush and get it back together again. Just try free that out now actually. Just push it through from the other side. Yeah, it's not that bad actually. I'll just pull these all out, pull that field out as soon as we can. Just be gentle, we don't want to bend anything or break any connectors. So you can still buy parts for these, but only the smaller parts. Things like the motor and the field are obsolete. What else is gone? I'd say the actual top and bottom nuts gone on this as well. Maybe even the aluminium head and the pin. But most other smaller pieces are probably still available on this. So I'll give us all a good wash out. Now, that's it all clean. Let's get this thing back together again so I can go home. Now, I've already fitted this here 607 bearing. So I had to use the bearing press just. This one here should just press in. It's actually quite cool, this machine. It's amazing the way you can actually see how the Bosch grinders have actually progressed through time. They all have this here little insert. See, this one is actually screwed in to the housing as well. So obviously Bosch have decided this is a good piece, but there's no reason to screw it on. So then I have it just pressed on them. All the wee things are quite similar, like the way the fan is and everything, or the shim. Loads of things are similar. The build, the way it's actually put together, is the same, but you can just see how it's actually progressed. Like the size of the body on it, it's huge, just to fit this field. And you got all this open space down here. So obviously they decided there's no reason to have all this wasted space, so they started slimming it down. So the grinders kept getting thinner and thinner. This was huge as well. Bearings fitted the same way up on here. These ones actually had a little felt sleeve up on top, but odd the way it's in there actually. Same as a 9-inch grinder, but obviously not all that needed. As soon as they had an open bearing and it lasted that long, you'd think they would have put the seal to this side to keep the bearing clean in here, seeing as the bearing was actually open on both sides. Very cool where you can see how it progressed through time. Because this is the first one of these I've ever worked on. As you can see, they're built the exact same way, just a bit bigger basically. So that was on there. This shouldn't matter. No, it does matter. This here has to be up at the switch here. And the switch is also nicely freed out as well. I should be switching off fine now. That's all I need for this side. Just reconnect on the wires, stick the brushes back in. Put the brushes on later. Now we'll just get the head on. So which way is this? Bearing on first. I'm just using a sealed bearing, not going to the open one. If you really want an open one, you can actually just pop out the seals. It'll do the same job. push in because you have to get it past. We're down over that wave washer, which is acting like a little spring. Push that in, and we can fit the armature. It should go in nice and easy. Before we put that on, we'll just drop on the gear. So that's going to sit inside that wee felt sleeve too. And put the armature through the whole lot. No. Just put a bit of grease on there, just to help this slide on. Just guarantees it actually slides on and doesn't just get caught and rolled up in the housing. It's not right. Switch we have to go by. Holes don't line up. The head has to go on a certain way too. Can't just put it on any direction. So you could flip it 180 degrees for right and left, but you can't have it in between. Now, I'm going to have to get a move on here because I can hear them locking the doors out the back. So they're closing up soon. So I need to get shifting. Don't want to be coming back into this again. I want to get it all finished here now in the one day. It should be on that way. Knock that on. Now, finally, a bit of grease. Good gob on there. This is quite a big cavity. Not too much. Now, big thick shim on it. I'm surprised how big that is. It shouldn't matter which way this goes on either. This is all metal. Unlike the newer ones, which are plastic. It's actual housing for the bearing. Plus you can change the bearing, and that's here on its own without changing the housing. Water, once the actual bearing is set into the plastic housing. These are actually self-tapping screws, so you need to be careful how you're putting them in. If you do it wrong, you're going to tap a new screw or a new hole. Not what I want to do now, just at 6 o'clock. Much better. Now, another Bosch grinder. Hopefully running a lot smoother. It's definitely looking a lot better anyway. That's shaped up nicely. This one doesn't even need new labels, it still looks good. Nice one. That's another Bosch grinder, the oldest one of the lot, up and running again. New bearings, new grease, everything else is good, just a good clean out, and that's her. Anyway folks, that's it. That's all the grinders fixed up. Well, some of the grinders fixed up, some of them checked over, but all 10 of them up and running again and ready for work. So it'll keep that crowd nice and happy. 10 grinders ready for work for their job next week. Sadly, for the shops where I work for, they're not getting any sold, but at least they're up and running now. Anyway folks, that's me, that's it, end of the day, 6 o'clock, time to get home, get a bite to eat. Till next time folks, I'll chat to you later. If you're liking the videos as always folks, make sure to give us a wee like and a follow to help the channel out. But till next time, I'll chat to you later. Cheers!